Welcome, everyone, to the Something in the Wild podcast. I am just now switching up the intro because I think it's more appropriate now that these videos are coming out. Today, I wanted to kind of break down for you a little bit that's going on. The video that we just recorded that is going to be dropping this Thursday. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. I'm also going to refletch my arrows here. So I wanted to work through that process with you and show you what all goes into that and maybe, motivate someone here at home to go about fletching their own arrows. Now, I think I should start out by explaining why I'm fletching my own arrows. Well, not even fletching, but cutting, installing the half cert, and fletching them. So basically what I bought is just a arrow shaft with a knock with this thing on the end, which I'll show you in a second. And then they're just raw. So not cut up or anything like that. And I'll show you one of those right here. So here we have the Black Eagle Rampage arrows, as you can see, not cut. And then on the back ends, we got these little red nocks. These things are pretty sweet looking. I don't know what exactly the purpose is. I think it adds a little bit of extra weight on the end, but you might be able to see that a little bit. I don't know. It's probably going to be tough for you to see. But anyway, these are different than the arrows that I had previously. So this was one that I busted whenever I shot it into a tree at a 3D shoot this past weekend. And I pulled the half cert and the field tip just straight out. But as you can see here on the back, there's not that red thing. So there's like a little side-by-side comparison for you there. But I'm going to put the exact same fletchings on here. These are the exact same arrow shafts, and we're just going to see what happens. I mean, this is my first time ever doing this. I literally just got a bunch of these tools to figure this out, so I'm going to I'm going to learn as I show you guys. So now let's go through the tools here, a little bit of what I'm using. So like I said, these are raw shafts, so I'm going to have to cut them to length, and I bought this nifty little cutting thing right here. So it's basically for anyone that has ever cut any sort of piping, specifically copper. It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same tool. So you put the arrow in here. It's got this little rod that you slide the shaft into, tighten it up, spin it around the shaft, and it'll cut straight through it, put a nice straight line for you. So we have that. That is our first tool that we're going to be using. Actually, I think I might have put the other tool away that I was supposed to be using too. Let me check here real fast. Yeah, okay. So also because that might not be the cleanest way of cutting it, there's going to be like a little bit of fraying, a little bit of fiber because they're carbon fiber arrows. So you also need to buy this little sanding mechanism here. So here, I'll take this arrow that I've already cut, and basically you put it on like this, and you just rotate it around against this sandpaper right here, and that'll sand it down pretty good, just like that. And that'll give you a nice flat surface where you can then install that half cert. And that looks pretty good. Overall, I mean, this setup was pretty cheap. I think that the cutter was probably like around $40. This thing was around $20 maybe. The arrows were obviously the most expensive part. And that's just because, I mean, they're expensive, They're even more expensive whenever you buy them pre-fletched, pre-cut, all that stuff. You got to pay those extra fees. So doing this by yourself, I haven't done the math. I don't know how much money I'm actually saving by doing it myself. Probably not worth it, but we're going to find out here in a little bit whenever I do, in fact, do the math. Now, once that's complete and you have this sanded down and it's nice and flat and flush, then I'm going to bring it over to my fletching gig. So this thing, you basically just clip in your fletchings, which are right here. Got these from Total Archery Challenge. So I'm going 2 orange and 1 neon yellow. Boom, right like that. And I'll basically just put them in this gig right here, put some glue on it, slap it on there, and it's good to go. It measures out the distance, so you kind of just you just push it up against the edge, and it'll give you the proper distance. So it's very easy to use, very simple to figure out. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting started here. So this one is already cut. I already cut that one. It's already pretty flat. So I'll put that right here, and then I'll go into my next shaft. And I'm only going to cut a couple of them because that's the most time consuming process. So let me throw this thing on here once again. And then once I cut a couple, then I'll go into the extra steps to kind of show you guys what the heck's going on here. But while I'm doing this, I want to talk about our trip. Now, I went this past weekend with Connor, who is Sammy's brother. And we were really trying to do something wild and really interesting little adventure that we were going on. So we packed up the bags, packed up some backpacks and stuff, loaded the kayaks into the car, loaded my bike into the car, and we set off for a undisclosed river, wilderness river, basically. So there's no sort of development along this river. We barely saw any signs of life until the very end whenever we were taking out, and it was just such a cool experience. I mean, we went camping, we did, we were cooking food on the fire, we were doing just a bunch of awesome stuff. It was so much fun. And we ran into a couple issues, while we were going. One thing, Connor flipped his kayak. We got there super late at night, so that was another issue. What else happened? It just started absolutely downpouring whenever we got off the river. Like, I had to ride my bike back to the put-in spot where I left my truck, and while I was gone, it just was downpouring on Connor. I felt so bad leaving him there by himself. He just had to fend for himself in the rain, and ended up seeing a tree get struck by lightning literally right across from the boat launch that we were sitting at, and then the tree probably like 5 or 10 minutes later fell into the water. Just a wild experience. Hadn't spent time outside in that kind of rain in a long time, so that's always interesting to kind of go out there and experience that sort of weather and all that Mother Nature has to throw at you. Cool stuff. So that was a lot of fun. And you'll be seeing that video here on Thursday. It'll be quite the adventure, quite the experience, and quite the video. I really hope you guys enjoy, because it was a lot of fun. Might have been my favorite video to film so far, possibly behind the Delaware camping trip. That was very fun as well, just because we were catching a bunch of fish. But we did try our hand at fishing. And I'm not going to spoil too much, so I'll just leave it at that. All right. So now I did the sanding. I did the cutting on these 2 arrow shafts. They're both the same length, lining up very, very closely to my arrow before. These are actually a little bit longer, so I'm going to keep them a little bit longer because just the way that this cutter works, if I put the raw arrows on full length and I cut it twice, full length cuts twice, then it'll get me to within a 1/4 inch of where my arrows were before, and I think that's good enough. I don't want to think too much about this, and if it makes it easy and the process flow a little bit better, then I'm going to keep it like that. So now the next step in this process is I'm going to have to install these half certs. So I don't really know exactly if this is right or not, but I'm going to use this vein adhesive. I'm going to put it on this half cert, and then I'm going to stick it in there. And I'm sure people at home are probably going to be like, you freaking idiot. Why the heck would you do that? But here's my thought process is if it's sticking to the carbon on the outside of the arrow, like it's sticking the veins to the carbon, why would it not stick this to the carbon? I mean, it's very, very sticky. I've got it on my hands before, obviously, and I'm just thinking it probably works. So I'm just going to try it out and see what happens. This is always a learning process whenever you try new things. So it's exactly what I like to do is I like to try new things. I like to make things nice and simple. And if this works, I mean, damn, it's going to be real simple. So let me just squeeze out a little bit of adhesive here. Not too much, I don't think. That should be good. Pull the arrow out. Stick it in there. I'll push it down. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now I got a little bit of leftover residue there, so I have these arrow wipes. And if I just wipe that off, see, this stuff is so sticky, it'll just sticks to anything. So I'll wipe off all that extra stuff. I didn't quite get all of it, but that's okay. And boom. Just like that. There's your arrow tip right there. Looks pretty good to me. I don't know. We'll find out. Here, I'm gonna do one more here. Again, take the adhesive, put it on that part right there. Slide it in. Push it down the whole way. Wipe the excess away. Push it down a little bit more. That looks pretty good. Okay, awesome. That was pretty easy. It looks like it's see, here's the only problem that I could see with this is that they might not be pressing in level. But if I press it in the whole way and I sanded it down to level, it should be level, right? That's what I'm thinking. Okay, perfect. So just for example purposes, I'm gonna stick with those two right there. Then I'm gonna pull out my fletching gig. Now I already have my marked little notch right there where I'm going to put the tips of my arrows. So just to make sure that I'm being consistent with where those arrows are being placed, I have the point, so where the arrow should end up, right there. And then place it on there, line it up, press it on, hold it there, and then pull it off. So here we go. I'm going to use the yellow one first. Make sure that's nice and flat on there, just like that, right there. Take your arrow glue, or your vein glue. Put a nice thin strip of glue on there. Make sure it's enough. That's the last thing you want is your fletchings flying off whenever you're pulling them out. All right. line it up on the gig, press it down. Let that sit for a second. Yeah, guys, the reason while that's drying right there, the reason I'm fletching arrows right now is because I went through a dozen last year, and I'm thinking if I can stay on that consistent path of using a dozen arrows a year, I'm in great shape, because arrows are not cheap, and for the amount of shooting that I do, only going through 12, I think is pretty good. I don't know. It could be really, really bad because I did lose a few during the Total Archery Challenge last year. I lost a few, I lost one at a 3D shoot that I did last weekend. So hopefully I'm not just saying that. Hopefully it actually is pretty decent. But there you go. There you have it. There is my first fletching done right there. Now I'm using a helical pattern. I think it would be a right helical, because I do like the helical patterns. I think that they fly better, spin better, all that stuff. So that's what I've kind of subscribed to, is the helical. And I think that you can kind of make this, much like anything, you can kind of make it as complicated or as easy as you'd like to. I think I found a great mix of complex versus easy, because you can kind of overanalyze these things and really like be trying out a whole bunch of stuff and always switching things up. And switching things up is a good thing every once in a while, but you really want to find something like that you're comfortable with, and then once you get comfortable with it, just stick with it. And I will say I'm very comfortable with these arrows. I usually shoot good with them, shoot straight with them. They haven't let me down yet, so I'm gonna stick with them until they do let me down. Hopefully they never do, knock on wood. But yeah, these are awesome arrows, and I definitely would recommend if someone's looking to get new arrows or whatever, and they haven't tried out Black Eagle yet. I think that they're pretty solid. Okay, now here's my last fletching. So I do 3. I do have like a 4 fletching, I guess base, or like package, if you will, for this fletching kit. But the reason I don't use 4 is because I only had 24 of those Total Archery Challenge, the Total Archery Challenge fletchings right there, those neon ones, and I wanted to just keep it simple with 3 and not use too many, because again, I'm doing this because I'm on a budget and I don't want to be spending a crap ton of money on arrows, or fletchings for that matter. So keeping it cheap while also making sure that it works, that's the name of the game right there. And that looks pretty money, if I do say so myself. I'm just wiping it down, making sure that there's no like huge air bubbles or anything like that. And just like that, you have a full arrow. See, I mean, it does not take long at all. Now, I don't want to set those down on the fletching while it's drying, so I'm going to set it off on the side here while the fletching is facing away from the table. And it's hanging off the edge. Now I got one more that I need to do. This will be my second arrow. Again, going to start with the Total Archery Challenge fletching, the neon yellow. I will say a little hot tip here. I really like the neon colored fletchings because it makes it that much easier to see whenever you're making shots whenever you're shooting at targets, you can kind of see the arrow path. I don't know. You could also probably get light up nocks that save or serve the exact same purpose, but neon fletchings work as well. So make sure you check out some neon fletchings. And it also looks sick. On my bow, I have an orange and black string. So having an orange fletching really matches the vibe. Now, I wish that I had some red as well. Like if I did orange and red, it would match the arrows a little bit better. But I had these for free, so I had to use them. Maybe sometime in the future, I get some red fletchings. Actually, whenever I run out of these, I will get some red fletchings, and then I'll just be able to go orange and red, and it'll work out real nice and kind of match the whole vibe of the bow. Except I do have a purple sight. I have a spot hog sight, so the purple might not look great, but you know, it is what it is. All right, now I'm gonna speed this up here a little bit. And once you get the hang of this whole fletching process, you kind of get into a rhythm, you get into a groove, and it just happens real easily. Press it on down there. And this glue does not take long at all to dry. You can keep it on there for, a second or two. Push it down real good so there's no air bubbles. And then flip it to the next one and let it dry by itself. You also always want to make sure that the fletching, whenever you're pushing it into the gig itself, it's flat. Because if it's crooked, you're gonna notice it whenever it's on the arrow. It's either gonna be too far up, too far down, or anything like that. So always making sure it's flat. You got a nice even surface to work with whenever you're pushing it down. And then you push it down. Nice and tight. Just like that. Put this cap on here. And then unclip it, pull it out, boom. There's your arrow right there. Wipe away the residue, excess stuff. And just like that. Tip and fletchings. All right, awesome, perfect. Well, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate you guys listening and watching. This is a little bit unorthodox, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I do something weird every single week, so I'm just going to keep on that trend and doing something different. I might come to you for these videos with some gear reviews, or I might go in depth on what kind of shotgun I use, what kind of shells I use, or for Colorado, for example, I might, pull out my muzzleloader and give you guys a breakdown of the gear that I'm using with my muzzleloader. So all exciting things to come. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, really appreciate you guys watching. If you want to listen to more or watch more podcasts like this, be sure to check out the YouTube channel. If you want to watch long form videos that I put out, be sure to check out the YouTube channel as well. The long form videos come out on Thursdays. The podcasts come out on Tuesdays. And again, the podcast, I'm usually talking about things that we've done on the weekend, things that we have done, talk about the videos that we're putting out and things like that. And like Thursday is the video. So always interesting. Never know what exactly I'm going to be getting into until usually the weekend of. So be sure to check it out. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to comment if you want to see something in particular. I'm always willing to put random stuff out there, whatever someone is interested in learning about or seeing. Can do all that stuff. So make sure to give me a shout. And yeah, check it out. Something in the wild, everyone. And be sure to keep it wild.